welcome back to segment 2 of episode 65 of Relentless Talk Radio. I'm super excited today because I have Jordon Cavanagh here from Movement and Mobility Experts. I said specialist earlier because I'm stupid, but the name of the company is Movement and Mobility Experts. But I wanted to first give you our sponsors for today's episode. And so I will let you know that Muscular Moving Men is our sponsor again this week at muscularmovingmen.com. If you're looking for really great movers, they're fantastic. I've used them myself, and I couldn't say enough positive about Jordon and his team, Justin and his team. And then I have too many days happening at once here, Justin and Jordon. And then Venvana. So Jordon and I are both members of Venvana, which is a barter community. Go check them out at venvana.com. If you have a service or anything that you think is barterable and you're looking for other services, like, for example, physical therapy or radio advertising or influencer advertising or, fill in the blank, bookkeeping, there's some just a plethora of really cool stuff. So you can barter your services in exchange for someone else's services. So if you're a new business owner starting a business right now in today's craziness, this is a really great way to get started because you'll be able to barter your services for their services. So with that, I am going to bring on Jordon, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. So Jordon and I actually met through the Venvana community. And he is a physical therapist. We've been trying to get him on for a couple of months now, which is cool. So I'm super excited that he's able to come on. So Jordon, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle, for having me today. So I am a physical therapist. I've been practicing a little over about 5.5 years now. And recently started my practice, which is the Movement and Mobility Expert. It's a concierge physical therapy practice that's mobile also. So treat patients at their home or wherever's convenient for them.
That's super cool. So if you're a business owner and you're working from home right now, it's great because you can actually will go to them, right? But also when we don't have COVID-19 going on, you'll go to someone's office, right?
Correct. Yeah, I have had some patients that they want me to come see me at the office, or done some in-services at different offices in their conference room and things like that as well. So.
Wow, it's super cool. So why physical therapy? I mean, I know I considered it in the past. I've been an athlete my whole life. So of course, naturally, it's like, okay, how can I incorporate that physical thing into my job? Is that kind of what happened for you, or how did you get it?
Yeah, it is. I think kind of like a lot of therapists that I come across have a similar story. But I was a runner. I did track and field and cross country back in high school and into college. And then I think my senior year of high school, I had a stress fracture in my lower leg. So I went and, ultimately had some physical therapy. It put me out for the season, but had some physical therapy to recover from it and rehab. That was kind of my introduction to physical therapy. Before I knew I wanted to do something, either health, wellness, sports, medical, somewhere kind of in that health and fitness kind of sphere. But that's what kind of pushed me and led me ultimately to physical therapy.
So isn't that interesting? I was just talking in my first episode about how my girlfriend Alyssa Glutz, actually, who's listening, she just commented and said that you just never know what's going to happen. There she is. She's like, hi. Okay. So Alyssa was saying this morning that you just don't want to complain about a downturn because you don't know what your comeback's going to be like, right? So that's a perfect example of, you have a bad thing happen and you got exposed to something that became a career.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of.
And you actually monetized successfully.
It provided a good opportunity. Yeah, good experience ultimately that ultimately influenced, where I went with career.
And do you like the idea of helping people? Because that's always been my thing. I love helping people feel better.
It is. And it's one of the big things that kind of drew me to physical therapy, because there was a period of time where I considered other, forms of medicine, like being a physician assistant, or, even kind of going on to med school, things like that. But, ultimately helping people. But what attracted me to physical therapy was that there tends to be more, you get more time with the patients. You get to kind of help them develop a little bit, with a little bit more time. Whereas some physicians, it's a different interaction.
That's interesting because you're right. You see the doctor for like 30 seconds. When my dad was in the hospital, just pre-passing, it really hit me that you see the doctor for, I don't know, 2 minutes, but the people that you develop the relationship with is like the night nurse. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Usually the day nurses are coming and going so quickly, but the night nurse is the one that you get the real love from, because there's less happening at night and you have more opportunity to
Mhm.
interact with each other, right? So
Yeah.
that's interesting. It's interesting. So what do you think you've learned so far about being in business? I mean, you've been in business now for about 6 months, right?
Yeah, six and change, almost 7 months, where I've really been trying to develop the business. I feel like I've learned a little, and there's a lot to to go. When I first started, I thought it would be build a website, make some business cards, start handing them out, and the rest would follow. But uh,
Right.
yeah, but there's a lot more that goes into it, and I feel like every day I'm still trying to learn, and I feel like it's still a pretty steep curve of lots of things that I need to learn on the business side of it. Because I practiced for several years, and what's one thing, but then when you go and you have a business side of it as well, and you have to develop that, there's a whole other aspect to it.
There's a book called The E-Myth. Have you heard about it yet?
What's it called?
It's called The E-Myth.
No, I don't think so.
And basically, it's about that topic. And I think if my memory serves me correctly, which has gotten kind of funky as I've gotten older, but she's a pie maker. One of the
Okay.
businesses features a pie maker, and she make like kick-ass pies. And
Yeah.
so she decided to open up a pie business. And she learned that she knew a lot about making pies, but not so much about business.
Yeah.
And that she had to become a business person. And I think it's true for artists. Okay, I'm on a mission to let artists know that it's okay to be a business person. I think a lot of artists think business is a dirty word. So I've actually built my art career about kind of demonstrating that I am a business and an artist collectively at the same time.
Huh.
But I think also doctors and attorneys and all kinds of people that went and learned a trade were never really given a business course. I bet you there wasn't a business course in your physical therapy school, right?
And actually, they did try to introduce us. We had a very brief. I mean, it was
Like 30
they,
seconds.
they called it a business course, but it really did very little, I think, to kind of actually prepare. It was more of like, this is how you try to do a business plan, and then there was
Yeah, good
pretty
luck.
yeah, exactly. Have fun.
When I opened up my salon, which I talked a little bit about in my first episode, um, I I've had 6 companies of my own in my career as a person, but with this one, I approached it a little differently. I made sure I had a very solid business plan. It was after grad school, and so I bought the building, and I had the fire marshal come and all the. And it really occurred to me, like in all the entrepreneurism courses and marketing courses and operation courses I took in my degree, they didn't really teach me about the plumbing inspector and about the fire marshal and about all those things that really, at the end of the day, that's the stuff that when you buy your car, should you buy it under your business LLC? Should you have an LLC?
Yeah.
If your car insurance on a line item on your books, or is it a personal item? How do you track your mileage? What app do you use for that? So there's a lot of stuff that they don't teach you in business school. And I think
Not even, yeah.
a part of it is a lot of the people who teach business school never owned businesses.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
You know what I mean? So they're teaching theory as opposed to like, okay, here's what you have to do to get the business open.
Yeah.
And these are all the flipping paperwork you're going to have to fill out. And
Things are a lot different when you try to apply them in life.
100%. So it's not just physical therapists, it's just across the board, right?
Yeah.
So our topic today is building your empire one baby step at a time. And you and I had kind of a pre-conversation yesterday when we were testing BeLive. You were talking about the things that you're doing to kind of stage your way into your business. Like you didn't just like drop your contract work or drop your W-2 work. You've been kind of staging yourself along the way. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how you're taking baby steps?
Yeah.
Dad, congratulations, 7 months old.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. So I mean, with creating my business, I knew right away that it wasn't something that I could just, drop everything and drop the career that I had and the jobs that I had before, and then just become full time and be able to support our family full time with this. And so, unfortunately,
They eat.
So what's that?
Your kids are inconvenient. They eat.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah. So in diapers, and so, but yeah, so fortunately in my profession, there's a lot of flexibility. And so I've had the opportunity to where I can kind of scale, like, be full time with my old job and then scale that back as my business ramps up, which, helps me just kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And then there's always opportunities for me to like pick up PRN status or as needed, here and there, if I need, if I have holes in my schedule that I need to fill. So that's been really helpful and, fortunate for me as I'm trying to, like you said, take those baby steps, and take, one day at a time.
I think that's an interesting thing to think about. I think sometimes business owners think they're failing if they have to go get a part-time gig to get them through, or they have to pick up a gig. Like, this is a gig economy. They got to go drive Uber, or they got to go work with another network marketing organization. Or I think there's a lot of people that are building businesses and are funding it with network marketing. And there's a lot of people that are building businesses that are still working part-time at their job. And there's a lot of people that are building businesses that are nannying and working directly for people, doing something completely not related to what they're doing. So this idea that we have to just do one thing, I mean, you're lucky you get to do one occupation, but you're doing it in several different ways.
Yeah. Yep. Right.
Super smart.
It works. It's very nice. Like it allows me to build kind of my dream practice, but at the same time still have some security behind me as well. So that way I know I can, at least make an income and support the family and things like that along the way.
Yeah,
So.
those diapers, man, they're so inconvenient.
Yep.
You have to change them all kinds of hours of the day, right?
Yep, exactly.
Well, that's a good segue into, one of the things that we wanted to talk about is you're a concierge service, which I think has been an interesting thing that's happened over the past couple of years in the medical community generally. So you don't run on insurance. People can cash pay, which is good, right? And if they do more than one session, they can get up to a 20% discount if they buy sessions after the first session, right?
Correct.
So is this kind of the dream you had when you were working for others and kind of watching the insurance debauchery?
It is. So initially it wasn't really something I was even aware of. I just, out of school, I thought you just go work for a practice or, someday I was even open, back when I was first considering therapy of, having my own practice, but the concierge side of it wasn't something that was on my radar. It was all, insurance based. People have insurance, they want to use insurance. But over the past several years, as I've worked for, I did a lot of contract work before. So I've worked for, in the 5 years, probably brief contracts for, I don't know, 8 to 10 different, companies and organizations. And all of them, everything from hospitals to outpatient clinics to rehab facilities, they all kind of have the same underlying push that just like patient volume is, the big thing. And then pushing certain treatments, which are actually the higher paying, they're reimbursed at a higher rate. There's always a little bit of a nudge to kind of, provide treatments that would maximize their billing.
Unofficial nudge, right? Because you can't officially, but you're kind of like, it'd be a good idea, wink, wink, if you got wink, wink, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so, over the years, I realized that I didn't really like that method of practice, and that there's a lot of times where I would, wanted to provide a level of treatment or certain things, and I just really couldn't, or maybe I could, but it just wasn't to the standard that I wanted to. Maybe I didn't have the time because I also had 3 other patients that I was supposed to be seeing at the same time also, or and so I realized that, to provide the level of care that I really wanted to, and I thought that patients really should have, I kind of had to step away from that a little bit.
That's like super flippin' brave, man.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it's not just, I think sometimes people think the concierge thing is about putting more money in your pocket. Never in this conversation have you mentioned the money. It's about giving the right care.
Yeah, no, that's the big drive, and and I've seen it across other, like you said, I think a few minutes ago, that there's a lot of other, I guess in medicine in general, there's a lot of physicians go on this route as well. And I've networked with a lot of different ones and met the different concierge physicians here across the valley, and it all comes back to, I think, ultimately, and that's why we go into healthcare, is to provide patient care. That's what drew us to the field to begin with. And so, all of us, are wanting to kind of get back to that. And so I think there's this bigger embracing of a little bit of a trend of the concierge model, where you can provide, the treatments that you think patients should have as a practitioner.
I think that's admirable. Have you heard about the organization Direct Health?
No, I don't believe so.
They're kind of like an alternative to they're an alternative to your regular types of insurance.
Okay.
Go ahead and Google it. Direct Health.
Direct.
I know the owner, and I know they have a relationship with chiropractors, and I'm wondering if they have a relationship with physical therapists. So it's called Direct Health, and I'll introduce you to the owner and see if maybe there might be a way to tap into that. So I love this idea of having like a membership or a subscription-based model. Have you considered that yet?
I have, and I've been playing with that idea a little bit and trying to develop that. I haven't established any patients with that model yet. But I know, going back to the primary care model, that's a big way that a lot of the primary care physicians practice. And so I've been trying to develop and figure out how to develop more kind of like incorporating that in. But I think with physical therapy, it has to be more aimed at like prevention of injuries. And, if there's an injury that happens along the way, of course it can be treated, but for someone to really be interested in, kind of a recurring, ongoing, treatments along the lines of prevention, like what we can do, and even looking across the lifespan. As a physical therapist, we look at people across the lifespan, but how their movement changes over time. And there's a lot of common patterns that you can see as people age, whether it be posture, weaknesses develop, and it creates a lot of common things that can be treated. But a lot of people aren't aware of it until almost it's too late, and then they have an injury, and then they go seek treatment for it. But with some screening and assessments that are even a couple times a year, a few times a year, I think some of those can be prevented. So,
well, I think it's interesting segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about is you and I are going to be doing a series of episodes with you working on my dang hamstring and my right Achilles tendon, which has now gotten irritated.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were talking about in our pre-interview was last year I ruptured my left Achilles tendon and tore my right LCL. Actually, it's been 2 years now, but one of the things that you mentioned right off, that my right LCL being injured may have triggered my hamstring and my ankle injury.
Yeah.
That would make sense, right? I mean, it would make sense because basically my LCL, which is, for those of you listening, it's a little ligament that's on the outside of your knee. And ligaments they're really slow to fix themselves. And I was holding on by 2% of the ligament. I had to take an MRI. I had a 98% tear. I almost had to have surgery, but it's been growing back together. And so the knee feels great, but my hamstring and my Achilles are not so much. So I think that, like, for somebody like me who's had a history of injuries, right? I've had shoulder surgery and my Achilles, and I've had some history. I think you would do well with a subscription plan. I think there's a lot of us 50-somethings that have a long history of crap.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a good model. I think there could be a lot of benefit to it.
So the next time we talk, I'm going to see like what the research you came up with and find out what you did or didn't do about that idea. Perfect. So we're going to be powwowing and figuring out what that series is going to look like. And so probably post COVID, we're going to be doing some work together, and we're going to document how you're helping me to heal this dang hamstring so I can get on with my competition, which now is going to move back till October because the gyms have closed. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to working with you on that and helping people to maybe not have my problem. Yeah. The last thing we're going to talk about is Venvana. We're both members of Venvana, which is a barter community. How'd you find Venvana? I know how I found him. How'd you find him?
Yeah, I first encountered Venvana. So when I was first starting to get out and network with my business, I've been to several of the chamber different chamber of commerce events, and so I think it was the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce where I met Mary Ellen, one of the founders of Venvana, and so met her there, and then at a couple follow-up events we got talking and networked a little bit more, and I got to learn about what Venvana was about and the opportunities that it could create, and so I thought it was a great fit. So I've been, I think I've been a part of Venvana for a few months now.
That's cool. I think networking is just so important because you just never know who you're going to meet. I actually met Eric Tuhey, which is Mary Ellen's other half, a co-founder of Venvana, at a chamber mixer for the Cave Creek Chamber.
Okay. Yeah.
And he also is a salesperson for the Times publications. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Which is the biggest publication across the valley. And so over the years, we've talked about doing some things together. We have done some things together with Times Publications. So he knew I had this barter collaboration problem. Like, I always really believe, I don't think I ever lost the small town thing where, hey, if I do this for you, you do that for me.
Yeah.
We didn't call it bartering. It was just what we did for each other. Hey, if you fix my bike, Frank, I'll change your tires. You know what I mean? Like, there's just people trying to find a way to affordably survive, dang it. You know what I mean? Whether it's just personally or business-wise.
Skills or resources.
It's super cool. So what happened was when they were developing this, Eric said, hey, I want to sit down with Mary Ellen and tell you about this thing. And I thought, okay, I'm open. And so we've created a series of Vennvana interviews over the year. We've kind of slowed up a little bit because we're waiting for COVID to pass a little bit as far as the momentum with the project. But you'll see a lot of Vennvana interviews over the year and me just shouting Vennvana out. I just think it's a great concept. I love being inspired by the Tuhays and about Vennvana, and I think it's just a really great way to be. So if people want to join us in this effort, you can just go to vennvana.com and take a look. And they did a really great job on their website. They left no stone unturned on the website. It's really very informative. So that's how we know each other. We know each other through 2 separate networking events where we met 2 spouses that were building a new business.
And they
You and I will come on Relentless Talk Radio, and we're going to do a series and hopefully grow your business a little bit. So you're going to offer a relentless offer to anybody who hears this episode or tell somebody about it. Is if people call you in and say, hey, I heard you on Relentless Talk Radio, you'll give them an extra special something or other, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So they just have to, give you a call or reach out on your website, and you let them know what the special is.
Yeah.
And so your website is, and I'm putting down the bottom there, TMME PHYSIO.com, and your number is 559-471-9972. Correct?
Correct. Yep. That's it.
And they can reach out to you on your Facebook page, right? You have a
They
Facebook
could reach
page?
out to me on my Facebook page, the business page. That should be linked here, or yeah, on my website. Also, there's every way that you can imagine to contact me. They can contact me there.
You're reachable, right?
I am, yes.
So Jordan, is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I'd like to thank you for having me on here, and it's been great talking and meeting, and I'm excited to move forward and meet you in person with the treatments that we talked about and the collaboration with that. So I'm excited, and thank you.
I know you're going to hurt me. There might be some pain involved, but you know what? Sometimes that's like bad advertising for physical therapy, but not really. There's not really big pain, but I think it's important to take steps to help yourself heal when your body doesn't heal on its own properly. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we do together with that, just personally, but also to showing people that physical therapy actually is something that everyone should do when they have an injury that has gone askew, especially. But, when you have an injury, working with a physical therapist really cuts down on your healing time, and it helps you to avoid other injuries in the future. So I really admire what you do, Jordan. I admire that you, as a dad and as a young business owner, and I'm really I'm doing the woo woo over here in Phoenix. We're both in North Phoenix, so you can hear me going woo woo out the window.
I can hear it.
All right, Jordan, thanks a lot. Have a really good rest of your day.
Thanks so much for having me. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys, so that's the end of segment 2 of Relentless Talk Radio. Just tune right back in. We have a recording. My next guest in segment 3, which is the entrepreneurism section, is with Scotty Warren, and we're going to talk about Heights Apparel, which is his fashion line. And then we're also talking about his video producing business that he represents himself under the name Scotty Yang. Yang is his actual middle name. I think that's pretty cool. So we're going to talk to Scott Warren, aka Scotty Yang, in segment 3. So I'm going to tune out of here and bring the recording right back in. Thanks a lot, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this segment, and we'll talk to you soon.